Willie D Live.
What's up, family? One of Nolan Wells' friends, Tristan Shepard, is speaking out about some of what he saw on that fateful weekend where Nolan's body was discovered dead after hanging out with his friends. Yeah. So according to Tristan Shepard, this is what he had to say about the entire night. We did nothing wrong here, and we don't understand how we're getting into so much hate behind us. We all cared and loved Nolan, and nobody wanted to see Nolan die. Nobody wanted to see his life be taken so short. That's the video I'm referring to, and that's me yelling. He says that's him yelling and not Nolan Wells, who appeared to be in an argument. When asked about the mystery girl, this is what Tristan said. They met that day, and it's kind of one of those things. He did come off that day like he really did like her, but that was the only time they ever hung out, was at Horn Island on July 4th.
It was showing everywhere. The phone had been I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land.
The sheriff said the parents have not turned over the phone to investigators. Their lawyers said they will. While the investigation goes on, Tristan Shepard wants the focus on his friend.
I want everybody just to relax and let everybody mourn the loss of Nolan, and let us remember him as in like the sweet guy. I think everybody needs to let the investigation continue and let the facts be shown.
Shepard has spoken with the police guys, and the sheriff told us that both he and all of Wells's friends have been cooperative. We're still waiting on the results of the official autopsy and the independent autopsy the family has ordered, hoping to get the Wells family the answers that they so desperately seek.
Okay, so we're waiting on the autopsy and the independent autopsy. So we got one autopsy conducted by the state, and then you have the autopsy that the parents ordered, the independent autopsy that was sponsored by Colin Kaepernick's organization. Now, family, for me, it's just too many inconsistencies in the stories of the so-called friends. Also, I don't like the way Tristan sounded when he was talking. He sounds very nonchalant, not just nonchalant. He sounded a little arrogant. Yeah, he sounded a little arrogant. I didn't like the way he sounded. So I'm not believing none of this. I'm not believing the timeline. They're saying that Nolan was inside of the swimming pool. The boys that he was hanging out with, these are some of them, are continuing to say that he never left the island. So they're trying to say that he was not in the pool that night, even though there was a girl that was in the pool who said he absolutely was in the pool. So now the ones who have the fingers being pointed at them are trying to play victim. They're saying they're being harassed. They can't show their faces. They can't go outside. Yeah, that's kind of how it happened when you're suspected of murder. That's what happens. They got the situation with the keys where the friend said he hadn't seen Nolan, but Nolan's car is parked at his house with the keys on top of a PlayStation, which a girl told the parents that, the keys to Nolan's car is on top of Jax's PlayStation. So the dad goes to retrieve the keys. He tells the dad, I don't know where the keys are. He fakes like he's looking for the keys. He said, I don't know where they are. They leave. One of the dudes decide, you know what? I'm not leaving without those keys. He turns back around, and next thing you know, 5 minutes later, he comes back walking towards the car with the keys. He got the keys to the car. So you got also the friends who kept the phone from the mama and the daddy. They got the phone. They got the boy's phone. They got a missing kid's phone, and they're not giving it to the parents. They're so dumb that they don't even know that the phone is being tracked. They got to track the phone down. That's another thing, man. I'm really hot about the fact that it appears to me that the family is investigating more than the investigators are investigating. They seem to be doing more police work. They're doing more police work than the police is doing. The parents, the family, and the real friends. While the so-called friends that he was hanging out with sitting on their hands and they're scared. They don't even want to show their faces. Makes sense. That's kind of how the Klan stuff work out, right? That's how those, what they call those dudes, the Patriot Front. That's how they walk and running around hiding their faces. Yeah. You don't hide your face when you don't have anything to hide. You show your face. You let people know. You let people look into your eyes, and you let them be the judge based on your character, based on your integrity, your pride, your honor. You don't hide your faces. You do not do that. That, to me, indicates that's a sign of a guilty person to me. If I do it, I said it, I meant it, and a fight go with it. Whatever it is, that's what it is. Hey, think what you want to think. If I know that's my partner, I'm going to stand for him. I'm going to stand on business, and anybody that's got a problem with it, I really don't give a damn. I'm riding for my partner. I'm not hiding from my partner. I'm riding for my partner, not hiding from my partner. Yeah, something absolutely nefarious happened, because if it didn't, it would be as simple as A, B, C, D happened. You go and you look at A, B, C, D, checks out. Simple. Everything fit just like a puzzle. You ain't got to try to force something. It is what it is. It fits. It makes sense. Everything makes sense. It adds up easily. You don't have all of these inconsistencies. So this is why I'm not buying none of that. I don't care what they say. I don't care what the sheriff says. I don't care what the investigator says. I don't care what the prosecutors say. Because as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing is one big cover up. Oh, and did I mention the boy named Warren Mama is a judge? Judges, you know, they got a lot of weight, especially in a small town. They got a lot of weight. So a lot of people want to do favors for a judge. The judges, they do a lot of favors for a lot of people. I'm not buying it. I don't care what they say. I'm not buying it. My belief is Nolan Wells was killed by his friends. That's my belief. I believe he was killed by his friends, his so-called friends. And I do believe that his so-called friends are covering it up, and their parents are also helping them to cover it up. They thought, because they've gotten away with so much so long, perhaps, that this was going to be just another case of a black kid dead and nobody would care. This is a small town. The last thing small towns want is outside prying eyes. They can't stand when the people in the big cities go to snooping around and looking at what they got going on. Because if you want to find corruption, the biggest corruption ain't in the biggest cities. The biggest corruption is in the small cities, because the small cities has little to no oversight. The small cities are ran by 2 or 3, 4 people. You know, the entire city. You know, sometimes one person runs the whole city, runs the whole town. One person got all that power. And it's hard to get some justice if you cross that one person, or that one person crosses you. But what's you, fam? Drop a comment. dropped a video yesterday. Some of y'all got mad at me because I said that the case was closed. I haven't changed my mind, fam. I'm standing on it. I say the case is closed because I'm looking at how they plan it. When the police starts moving in a way that's inconsistent with justice, when they start moving like when they got suspects and they're saying that the suspects are cooperating and they don't believe any foul play occurred, they're supposed to withhold judgment until they actually investigate. They're not supposed to say things like that. So when they say things like that, they are preparing the survivors, they're preparing the loved ones for the bad news that justice will not be served. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.